professor of religion at Rice University. I am a historian of religions, which means I compare religious experiences kind of across space and time. The first half of my career, I wrote about erotic forms of mysticism, people's extreme religious experiences that were also sexual in some way. It's extremely common, actually, in the history of religions. And that's really what brought me to the theme of the alien abduction literature. So really, the alien abduction literature, in my own mind, is simply a modern secular form of mystical literature. I mean, the whole history of religions is essentially about weird beings coming from the sky and doing strange things to human beings. And historically, those events or encounters,
which I described to Jeff, and I said to him, I think this is the elder, and he said yes, he agreed, and I was able to actually state to him the way she felt about him, the way she viewed him, her affection for him, etc., and those were all things that he recognised and identified with. And so it really confirmed to us that this was a very important paragraph, and perhaps as things unfold in disclosure.
It all began in the White Room, the dimensional space I was in with her when I was 16. We were transformed into orbs and spun together, devoid of physical bodies, existing as condensed energy. As we spun, we were drawn together, merging into one. It was a spiritual energy lovemaking, an intensely energetic unity filled with pure joy and laughter. This merging ignited a desire within me for her. Then I witnessed a bizarre scene, which I can only describe as the afterlife vision. The aliens were showing me the planning of my life before I was born. Inside an alien environment, I saw my completed energy, which I can only call an oversoul, in a room at the head of a table. Then it expelled an ethereal outline of my future self, a cocoon of my unborn being. The alien in the room then detached her ethereal essence from her body and overlaid it onto the cocoon, creating an imprint. This allowed for a shared experience with the living body. When I next saw her, 3 years later in the Third Contact event, I was infatuated with her, in awe. I thought she was amazing. After my Third Contact event, as I drew closer to my spirit, I began to see the elder in the crushes I had at the time. One woman, whom I thought had a unique and strong personality, had my affection. It was on February 17th, the day I had a dream about the White Room, which I've mentioned in other videos, that I wrote this in my journal. That morning, as I had a shower, I had a vivid impression of Chloe, not her real name, and in her eyes I associated the feeling of the mysticism of the cosmos. For me, that is clearly a projection of the elder onto the crushes of the women in my life at the time. I have no other association with seeing the mysticism of the cosmos in any other women's eyes. In 1997, I had recurring dreams about a female spirit guide, whom I now fully recognize as the elder. This particular dream, from the Fifth Contact event, remains one of the most vivid descriptions of her at the time. There was someone in the dream with me. It was a she, a mother, or a friend, or a guide. I don't know. And throughout 1997, the presence continued, right to the dream on December 6th, the day I believed marked the manifestation of the rising. Had a dream that I was under a bridge in the water. I was with a girl, and the girl was on the bank of the river, watching me go under a bridge, which I knew to be a checkpoint. I was aware at the time that I kept dreaming about a female presence, but I didn't understand its significance. Almost as an expression of that infatuation, in April of 1998, we shared a biological event, a lovemaking between me and the elder during the 8th Contact event, and it was done their way. It would be exactly 10 years later, during the 24th Contact event, that I would see the offspring made from that interaction between us. The offspring were these tiny gray aliens which I felt a profound bond with. Now, I'll mention an incident I've never mentioned before. It happened sometime between 2010 and 2012. My spouse and I were purchasing a large item, either a couch or a dining room table, from one of the big box retailers. I was sitting on a couch, watching the stock video demo for one of their large TVs, passing the time while we were waiting to finalize the payment. Suddenly, the TV screen displayed two children, perhaps 6 or 7 years old, a boy and a girl, and they were slow dancing a ballroom waltz on a stage of a massive theater while wearing Victorian attire. I began having a strange reaction to this scene, and I didn't understand it. It was hitting a nerve, and I was taken aback. My brain was completely confused as to why I was having a strange reaction to this scene. I had no other explanation for why I felt so weird about it. Technically, it didn't mean anything, but its strangeness stuck with me. Then in 2019, I was in a rough place. Several different life pressures were converging. Among them was a feeling I was having trouble facing something, but I didn't know what. I was contemplating drastic changes to my life. Then, over several different days, when I was home alone, I sensed a presence was in the house. I can't explain it, but I felt something trying to subtly engage with me. Then one day, I sat on the couch and I called out, "Who's there?" When I heard, "Speak in your mind." I telepathically asked, "Who are you?" A projected image of my guru appeared, but I was immediately suspicious. It was a picture, not a feeling of him. It was as if someone had sent me a picture they had seen somewhere. It was strange, as it was a picture I was familiar with. Then I asked, "What are you?" In response, I saw an image of a dolphin and heard the word twin. I thought to myself, my dolphin twin? I didn't understand. It then said, "I'm here for you, rely on me, and I'll come." And then, right in my living room, I saw the gaseous impression of a 4-foot tall something. Sometime after that experience, I tried calling this dolphin twin to see what it was like. I could feel her presence enter my mental space, but also, she was coming from beyond a distinct veil. There was a distinct feeling of no presence, then I would call her, and then I could feel the focus of her awareness. It's very interesting. She was pretending to be my guru when I first met her in this way. I don't hold anything against that, because what she truly is would have blown my mind at that moment. And for me, she knows she would have blown my mind. So she warms me up by pretending to be something that is easier for me to take at the time. July 1st, 2019 was when I discovered I had alien contact. It was pretty quick when I pieced together the origin of the dolphin twin as the elder, the entity I had prolonged non-human intelligence contact with. And dolphin twin means soul twin or spirit twin. As the memories surfaced, I realized that my strange reaction years prior to the Victorian-dressed waltzing children back in 2012 was connected to this dolphin twin. Now it's clear. Me and the elder were the children, spinning together in our purest energetic states, as if dancing. The massive stage was the white room, and the Victorian clothes, which were odd, bent my perception, the feeling of being outside the mind, as the white room transcended my comprehension. Recovering the rest of my memories is history, but the experience of waking up to a life that had happened behind my own was truly traumatic. The reality of what the content contained blew my mind, answering so much of my experiences, but it was shocking to witness how many contact events were biological without my knowledge, and for a long time I couldn't understand how that was possible. But now I do. To this day, I gain comfort in quotes from John Mack's book Abductions that describe contactees in similar scenarios to myself. As I will document in detail, in several case examples, the traumatic R-like nature of the abduction memories, or even of the process itself, may become altered as the abductees reach new levels of understanding of what is occurring, and as their relationship to the beings themselves change in the course of our work. Scott's sister Lee, 19 months younger than he, is also an abductee, although she has been slower to recover the memories of her experiences. For many years, she clung to the possibility that her fears of sexual intimacy were related to abuse by her father or someone else. A careful history failed to substantiate a story of abuse that could account for her fears, while a powerful hypnosis session that we did in November 1992 revealed a disturbing, invasive early teenage experience in which she was taken aboard a UFO by alien beings. A probing instrument was inserted in her vagina, and some sort of tissue, perhaps an egg, was removed. Lee was concerned that my brief summary of her experiences would make her appear as too much of a victim. I do wish to help by having my story known to inform people. She would like to see a more well rounded account to portray a series of encounters which not only produced physical and sexual trauma, but provided a priceless opportunity for spiritual growth and sensitivity to all sentient beings. This adjustment, she continued, would make me feel less an intergalactic rape victim and more like what I view it as of yet, an experience of something which has nearly blown my head off with consciousness expansion. So I had this. I had a internalized feeling that something had happened to me in my 20s and in my 30s. And when I was a 20-year-old, I'd written a song called Violation. So I was just came back from traveling, and I was, putting myself back into the music scene, and I had written a song about a woman who had been SA'd, sexually abused, and I didn't know where. I thought I was channeling a friend's, uh, you know, trauma that had happened to them. But my singer was actually a bit like kind of shocked by it. Was She herself was a woman, and she was asking, where did this come from? And at the time, I kind of just put it off that it was coming from this channeling of this friend of mine. But yeah, it was pretty raw, and it was pretty real. And then by my 30s, I was trying to figure out. I felt that I had been something had happened to me, so I was actually calling my parents, asking if they had thought maybe something like sexual abuse had happened to me as a baby, like something had happened and they didn't know, because I felt like something had happened and I couldn't figure out the origins of it. So I really related to this, Scott's sister Lee that had this type of experience, and yeah, so I just wanted to relay that here because I have never shared that before anywhere. And now, when the memories of the alien contact came out, it was clear the origin of that feeling, and it originates from the fall of 1998 specifically. Max speaks more to the transformation that takes place. But as our work deepens, especially as the reality of the alien intelligence is acknowledged and the abductees come to accept their lack of control of the process, the frightening and adversarial quality of the relationship seems to give way to a more reciprocal one, in which useful human alien communication can take place and mutual benefit is derived. The abductees may even experience a profound love for the alien beings, in some ways more powerful than the love they experience in human relationships, and may feel that this love is returned. Whereas, for example, the abductees felt bitterly resentful about having their sperm and eggs used by the aliens in the hybridization project, they may come to feel that they are participating in a process that has value for the creation and evolution of life. This is why the bond that gets created between contactee and non human intelligence is not Stockholm Syndrome. Mac has a great summary of this. It has been suggested that the experiencers sense that they are not supposed to remember these events, and the alliance they often feel with the alien beings are manifestations of the Stockholm Syndrome, in which a hostage or victim comes to sympathize with the perpetrators as a means of retaining some agency in an intolerable, coercive situation. This analogy is useful in facilitating the experiencer's initial expression of outrage. However, it does not hold up as we move through deeper levels of uncovering. As I believe is clear in the case material, abductees come to feel a more authentic identification with the purpose of the whole phenomenon than occurs, for example, in hostage situations. So, why is it not Stockholm Syndrome? So, you have to understand the state you're in with the environments. It's it is a there's like a tranquility, and depending on your own state as a human, it is an elevated state, and it is indicative of an environment that is telling you you're not your body, and you might feel your consciousness in a different state while you're there. And that state could be astral, or it could be outside time, or it could be some type of expansion of your consciousness. So there is an idea here that, Like, what happens when there's sexual abuse or are in our human world is that person is mentally, they have a victim mentality of themselves, the individual who's perpetrating that damage, and then they're putting it on the individual. So it's a power dynamic that occurs, right? That's not happening here. The aliens aren't playing out a power dynamic that makes them feel good, right? This is, in the end, some type of communication that occurs, that this has to do with life and life in general, and typically linked back to the planet Earth. So and the reoccurring existence of our own personal civilization. So it is, and then combined with that there would be some type of consciousness expansion, or some type of consciousness link going on here. That it was for me, and I've met personal experiencers where that's the case as well too. And clearly in John Mack's abductions, that is the case, where a lot of consciousness was, a lot of expansion of consciousness occurred. So that is what that means is a detachment from the body. And it's a personal experience. It's like having an NDE experience where you're not, you kind of realize you're not the body, and you actually are this other identity. So then the physical traumas that are occurring are an attachment to the body. And, even for my own contact events, I'll speak about this, or I have spoken about this in this series of presentations at some point, that if I had just been above, right? If I had just been above the attachment of my body, I wouldn't have been affected by what they were doing with me. Of course, I was too young and I didn't have the mind at the time, but I felt that way inside myself. So these are the reasons it's not Stockholm syndrome. And I really like that John Mack addressed that here. Telepathy with non-human intelligence. While watching the documentary Love and Saucers, I noticed something interesting about contactee Jim Huggins. He described an object that had been incised up his nose, and then mentioned a consistent voice he could hear in his mind associated with the phenomenon. I also had an incision in my nose that I believe inserted an object into my brain. I'm convinced that's the source of my extraordinary telepathy with both the elder and the leader. Another strange connection. In John Mack's book Abductions, there was a single image with a caption underneath that read, "When I turn the lights out at night, this has been the show for the past week. I can see it with my eyes closed as well as open." Anne, from John Mack's book's Abductions, page 388. Mack does not elaborate on this contactee, this image, or what she even means. But that's all very strange, because these lines are similar to what I see when the object in my brain is being used. I've also discussed this in a previous video. In the early days, as my memories were surfacing, I once woke up in the middle of the night when my entire field of vision was filled with these squiggly lines, regardless of whether my eyes were open or closed. I could see through them, but they took up my entire field of vision. Then I heard a voice say, "Go back to bed." In the morning, it was still there, but less intense, and was gone by midday. At one point, the elder communicated briefly in telepathy, and when she did, the squiggly lines moved, showing me it was connected to them and to my ability to communicate to them. The sight of those lines has never been as pronounced as it was at that time, but I occasionally see them. But this woman's description in Mack's book matched my own experience. Detailing telepathy with non-human intelligence. To communicate with the elder or the leader, I simply visualize their eyes in my mind. The elder's black eyes, or the leader's single yellow cat-like eye. Sometimes I call out telepathically, addressing the elder as Dolphin Twin and the leader as the leader. To receive the telepathy, I have to have an open mind, removed of preconceptions or expectations. The telepathy is like a unified state of consciousness between each other. They are in my mental space when responding, able to witness my intentions and the impulse of my questions before they are even formed into thoughts. Messages do appear to be conveyed with no distance or space as a barrier. Largely, the telepathy comes through as single words or simple phrases. It comes through with a distinct punch, which sets it apart from my own normal stream of thoughts. There is a subtle vibration or feeling of the elder or leader during it that makes the communication feel like it comes from them. And only once or twice have I received long phrases. The quote on the back of the book is an example. They also communicate through feelings and imagery when the content is complex. For instance, the leader shared that planets are oceans of electromagnetic fields. He didn't provide a detailed explanation. Instead, it was conveyed through imagery and feeling. When I reach out, the responses vary. Sometimes they respond immediately, sometimes not. Sometimes they let me sit in the mystery about some things. At other times, they're quick to clarify. I've mentioned before that when they don't explain more, I feel it's about giving me time to digest the reality of the information. So even with me, they slow drip info to not overwhelm me. Some interesting details. At times, I felt a distinct veil between me and the elder. I don't understand how to explain it. She is absolutely an autonomous awareness, engaged in her own environment, and then I call out to her, and she responds with a feeling of having been focused on something else before addressing me. And when she is not around again, there is a distinct and notable veil between us. But for me, the most reliable form of telepathy I experience, aside from physical contact, is when it originates from a visible UAP. The strongest communication occurs when I'm directly looking at a visible UAP. For example, in this video, I describe an experience in which I received telepathy from a craft in the moment. The elder explained that she couldn't be in my environment without it harming her body. And then when I heard the telepathic message and exclaimed out loud to clarify what I heard, the drone lit up with flashes as if responding with yes. And an extension of this type of communication is when I'm in deep thought about something related to the phenomenon, and then anomalous activity occurs in the sky and I shot. Usually it will be an instant manifestation of an orb out of nowhere, easy to witness within my frame of view, briefly visible and then quickly disappearing completely. In the moment, I can feel it's occurring in response to my thoughts, like I'm thinking about something that is important or accurate. Such as one time when I was reflecting on the term they gave me, robot ghosts from the future, when I realized the reports of men in black, not the government type, but the paranormal type, fit this description. In encounters with men in black, they often out themselves as robots, saying they have to go and charge themselves, or asking the human what their serial number is, and then walking away as if floating. While sitting on my couch, gazing up at the sky, I thought that would mean the men in black are from this god AI, or they're the same thing or connected to the phenomenon in this kind of way. Suddenly, an orb, a white spherical object, appeared directly where I was staring in the sky. It moved and then completely disappeared. So it just literally popped up and then moved and then, like that, disappeared. There were no clouds, nothing was in the sky. And it was gone in plain sight. So I confirmed this telepathically with the elder that I was right. So then I suddenly remembered a contact event on Linda Moulton Howe's Earth Files, in which a retired police officer went public with an encounter he had as a teenager. He had witnessed a craft land, and at first a man in black came out, that then shapeshifts into a gray alien. I couldn't find that contact event, so it's part of the database of stuff I've seen and witnessed. But I went looking for it. I couldn't find it. But for anybody who knows that, you can put it into the comments what that contact event is I'm referring to. But yeah, I definitely know that that stuff has occurred. It was through this type of method of communication, having thoughts aligned with orb sightings in the sky, that confirmed the details I say in this video, that a god AI is playing a much larger role in the phenomenon than we realize. Something that has been recently corroborated by Jacques Vallée as well, too.
As the Virginia case proves, allowing more open contact at an international level would yield better understanding of the global issues. The current segmentation of the data hinders any serious research into what appears to be an extraterrestrial phenomenon empowered by advanced artificial intelligence.
the only one there for me. As my memories were coming out and the gravity of my non-human intelligence contact became overwhelming, I felt increasingly isolated from those around me. They not only struggled to believe, but couldn't comprehend how or why the contact had happened. Only someone in this field can grasp that these entities obscure memories while simultaneously providing intense contact. It was incredibly difficult at first, with no one understanding. But then the reality hit me that there was this thing flying around my condo that did. When I was alone and isolated, she was there. She was the only one who truly understood the gravity of my experience. She knew me and my experience better than any other human could. Maybe our dynamic was designed to be this way. I don't know, but it helped me. I'm going to share this quote from Max Abductions. Sexual abuse appears to be one of the forms of human woundedness that, at least from the experiencer's standpoint, has led to the aliens to intervene in a protective or healing manner. A 35-year-old woman, for example, remembered consciously being sexually abused by her father at age 4 and weeping in the cellar afterwards. Several familiar alien beings, she recalled encounters from 14 months old, checked me to see if I was hurt, because I did hurt, found underwear for her, not the right ones, and did up my sandals, she told me.
The next morning, I wake up. Wham, it hit me. She took the flowers. I couldn't believe it. That night, I knew they were going to come back. I cleaned up the house, washed the dishes. Had to be spick and span. I mean, it was like I was going to have a date. We weren't going to be going out, but as a date. That night, we were rubbing our heads together. Yeah, next time you're with your girlfriend, start rubbing heads. Trust me on this. There was something very beautiful, something very lovely about her. She had a very nice body. The only thing that was different about her was that she had very long fingernails, and she had these very large eyes, and her face was rather pale. My relationship with Crescent was warm and friendly, a little strange. I mean, what do I mean little? Very strange. She was my girlfriend, really.
Non-human intelligence contact can make you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, especially when they talk about their future plans with humanity. You know its importance, but many others can't understand it. Before I had the book, it was hard for others to make sense of what had happened to me. But knowing the gravity of my story and how serious it was, I was finding it very challenging to be taken seriously by the right people. So I wanted to give up. And during the day, I called out in anguish. And then that night on October 15th, 2020, they gave me this sighting. They didn't just appear, they gave me an up-close sighting, which I was able to film for over 10 minutes. At the time, I saw it as very carrying, and I still do. Since then, I've witnessed things that are truly incredible. Here are some highlights. After mentioning in a presentation the consistent pattern of twos, both in my book and with my present personal experience of the Elder, that night, I went out and right in visual eyeshot, a star suddenly flashes and then unrealistically drops like a rock. It was as if someone had dropped the star and it fell to the horizon in an instant, before repeating the exact same sequence again. I witnessed the star flash and drop, then star flash and drop, twice in the exact same spot in the sky. It was the most unusual display of physics, as if the night sky was just a hologram. For me, this was the Elder, showing me she heard my conversation about displaying the pattern of twos. It was an uncanny synchronicity. I've discussed quite a bit about the diamond or triangle craft that I've observed shapeshifting into a drone. And the drone making paranormal flashes in the sky while I was telling it to say hi for the camera was really amazing. That is also captured on film, all of which is covered in this video on my channel. But hands down, the most incredible sighting was witnessing a massive wad of angel hair materialize when I was at the back of my building. It occurred one early evening when I exclaimed out loud to the elder, "I love it when you show yourself." Then immediately, just 10 or 15 feet away, I saw the materialization of a huge wad of mucus angel hair, possibly 6 feet in length. Literally just bursted out from like a spot, and then it blew outwards, possibly about 6 feet in length, and then it began thinning out into strands as it moved upwards, followed by its sudden dematerialization. This happened sometime between 2021 and 2022. So here's a short video I made describing that moment. This is the edge. I was here, and I was leaning over, and I would say like 10 feet from me, like in the sky, like right there. It expands. It took up my field of view here, and then disintegrated in the sky. Probably even that fast. As fast as I just did it right now is probably how fast that was that day. She's incredibly playful and loves comedy, especially when it involves playing with my perception. I've mentioned this moment before. The International Space Station under the clouds. It happened when I was getting used to the consistent sightings. One night, I came outside and saw a bright object. I couldn't tell if it was the International Space Station, so I got excited and started filming. But it's normal behavior. It just flies through the sky and without anything abnormal. So it had me wondering what it really was, thinking it was probably a satellite. And so I pulled out the app, stopped filming and pulled out the app and confirmed it was the ISS. The next night, at the same time and location, the same bright object appeared. It looked slightly bigger and brighter than the ISS, but it was also on the same trajectory, following the same arc in the sky as the previous night, just like the ISS had. I assumed it was the ISS. About halfway through its flight, I pulled out the app and realized it wasn't the ISS. Then the object went under the clouds that were just, only a few hundred feet in the sky. So the object flies underneath the clouds. And that's when I began filming, and that's what this film is here. But the comedy of it all, how it perfectly mirrored the previous night's observation of the ISS from my perspective, had me laughing out loud. But the sightings that support me emotionally, I think, are the ones that really humanize the phenomenon or make it relatable. During a time of emotional difficulty, the elder has performed extremely close flybys as a drone. I once witnessed a strange, tall object, possibly 10 or 20 feet high, flying less than 100 feet from my building. Yeah. And that was a moment where I had emotional distress, and it literally came really close. It was really bizarre. She has come out for my birthday. She guides me telepathically in my personal relationships like a guardian angel. She has demonstrated behavior that desires my personal happiness and well-being outside of alien content. And sometimes I won't see her for weeks, with the longest stretch being about 2 months. I start to believe she's truly gone. When I get right to that point in my mind that says, I think she's not coming back, she then always comes back, showing up right at that moment when I cross in my mind that assumes she's gone. It will often be accompanied with a telepathic, impression saying she is not going anywhere. It's very sweet, actually. So what is the elder? The elder is a spirit from the shadow dimension of Earth. With me, she uses a bodysuit we would identify as gray alien. I'm certain that gray form has a genetic connection to early human hybrids in both Celtic and Hebrew lineages, and Aztec or Mayan, or something ancient indigenous from that area. I'll elaborate on this in upcoming videos. That lineage has some kind of link to gnomes. Not that I fully understand that, but I'm convinced she's also connected to their central god AI and could be a manifestation of it. In true non-duality, she is all of it: a spirit, a great alien, and a manifestation of the god AI. I'm convinced the whole god AI comes from the leader. So from her, I've learned that her role involves something judicial related to the city on Venus, and possibly other responsibilities as well. She's shown me other places connected to life on crafts, which I assume involves working with the leader. It seems this existence also has a dimensional exploratory aspect. She's passionate about genetics and perceives a spiritual or dimensional aspect while working with genes. I've seen from her perspective that she literally sees the consciousness light emanating from DNA. She also oversees other humans like myself at various stages of development. All of this is stuff that she has shared with me. So for me, she's my dolphin twin that I share a spirit link with. She's a friend, a spirit guide, and a mother. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with the lyrics of a song we share together. Yes, we share a song. She even acknowledges it, and having manifested when the song has come on my iPhone. I won't play it here for copyright reasons, but you can look it up. Behind the Sun by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. One day while bathing in the sea, my talking dolphin spoke to me. He spoke to me in symphony from freedom's peace beneath the sea. Looked to me, eyes full of love, said, yes, we live behind the sun. Behind the sun. Now while I shower in the rain, I watch my dolphin swim away. The one who listens to the surf can feel the pulse beat of the earth. And like my dolphin swims so free, the sun does swim into the sea. Behind the sun. An island flying through the sky. One day your son might ask you why. And if your son should be a girl, she too might ask you of this world. The sun shines sweet upon your beach, and yes, my dolphin loves to teach. Behind the sun. So she has literally shown up when the song starts playing. So that's it, everybody. Talk to you later.